5, sir.
Oh, fantastic. Everybody, welcome to the Orange County Funding Corporation meeting. It is 4:01 on October 16th. Roll call.
Okay, terrific. Mark Green,
Present.
Jeffrey Christ.
Here.
Linda Muller.
Here.
All right, 3 of our 4 members. We have 1 excused absence, Dean Tambury, myself, Bill Fioravanti, and Kelly Riley as staff. Also, Mr. Billy Iverson doing our audiovisual, and our guest is Brian Sandage, our New Year's Day monitor.
All right. Proof of notice. Notice of this meeting was properly provided. And let's get into it. Let's do the approval of minutes from the September 18th meeting. Hopefully everyone had a chance to look at them.
I'll make a motion.
Right on. Motion to approve. Can I get a second? Fantastic. Any questions, any discussions we need to have?
No.
All right, then, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? 3-0.
There we go. Motion carries. Very good.
All right, new business. Shannon, welcome. Long time no see.
Busy.
Yes. Absolutely. Approval of September 2024 financials. So Shannon, I will hand it off to you if that's okay.
Sure. So for funding court, in September, there was $14,000 of interest earned on the CDs that matured. For expenses, there was the $7,400 from the monthly allocation for August of expenses. And then you'll see a negative $1,956 there. The funding corp received payments on some of the loans that had been previously written off, so that now becomes an income, and that's just, it's reported bad debt, so that's why it's negative. This is actually an income line. And then there was $3,066 of general counsel. So overall for September, there was a profit of $4,781.54.
Okay. Real quick, Bill, I apologize. Legal of the 3,066.
I think most.
It was 2 months worth of general counsel.
Yeah, and I think it was mostly around the Hudson Valley Venom. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, and admin costs are what it should be, and as mentioned, interest of 14,000. All right,
Good stuff.
all right. Any questions so far on that?
Huh?
Are you good?
I'm good.
Fantastic.
All right, Shannon.
The next is the bank and investments. So there were the 3 CDs there that totaled $1.6 million, and then there was $216,000 in the operating account for a total of $1.8 million.
All right, and we don't have to talk about CDs for a few months,
Nice.
so,
We can talk about the SOBs on the first line.
oh,
Come on.
well. All right, thank you. Continue, please. Sorry to interrupt you.
I think next are the bills, so usually Kelly goes through those.
Yeah, there's nothing unusual here. The BH, which is the legal counsel, is the 2701, and that's for, the ice time venom stuff. And then the next thing is the treasury bill that we just, did a 9-month treasury bill for. And then, the monthly allocation, and then the normal RBT bookkeeping fee.
Fantastic. All right,
And that's the invoice for the bookkeeping, or for the application, monthly application.
right, and this is the allocation to IDA.
Yes.
Yep.
So we're looking for a vote to recommend to the full board the approval and acceptance of these reports.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Any discussions?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
3 ayes, motion
Good to
carries. Very good.
All right.
Next item is our budget. So you've got that in front of you. We're gonna look at the pink column. I'm gonna go down and highlight only a few items here, of course. As you see, for the next 4 years, I'm forecasting one application to come in and one bond deal to be closed. I've tried it a couple different ways, but really, you can't forecast it, really, it's difficult. So I've got it that we'll do one project a year. Linda and I are gonna begin some work actually trying to draw up some more bond business, so looking forward to that. Interest earnings, you see, I've got in there with us investing $1.25 million, because we've been taking some funds out, there's some other requests, so assuming $1.25 million invested in CDs at 3%. That's where I come up with that number. And, okay,
In subsequent years, interest rates we know are headed down.
Yes.
So you made adjustments, it looks like, on the
Absolutely.
interest.
yeah. So try to be conservative with that and
Mhm.
investing a smaller amount. You see, the management expense is how we're booking for this.
Mhm.
Shannon's got us, doing it properly, where we're having one fee rather than splitting up the bills on both sides. So to cover the 16% of OCFC, we've got a management fee expense. You do see that in subsequent years after 25, it goes down for a year and then back up. That's just because our expenses drop. Related to website, what else do I have dropping here? Let's see. I've got legal going down and something else in here. And mostly, oh, and other shared expenses going down. The shared expenses are going down just for an IDA, which you'll see when we go into that. So it just dips a little bit and then goes back up. CFO and bookkeeping, I have a 15% increase for bookkeeping. I am looking for a little bit of support going forward with some of the budgeting, especially after this year's process. I think it would really help to have Shannon involved in the process more. Annual audit, got about the same, and then it goes up after next year. A little bit of bad debt recovery in there, and then legal, I'd still have, you see we are up because of a lot of activity, talking about Venom and a few other things like that. I'm expecting a little bit more of that for OCFC, because we have a couple of things that are in the pipeline, and then looking for that to go down again. So for 2025, projecting expenses of just over 128 million and total revenues, 128,000 and total revenues of 165,000, with a net gain of $36,912.37, and you see something similar carried out over the next 3 years. That is OCFC, that's our simple budget, of course.
One question, and sorry I didn't think about it previously.
It's okay.
The part-time person we expect to hire,
Yes.
will that person have any duties with the OCFC?
I think probably around the same proportion that we
Okay.
tend to have at 84 or 16, so yes.
So you factored that into the
Yes,
management fee?
it is, all
Okay.
salaries are shared with
Got it.
OCFC. But that is our budget for 25 and for the next 3 years for the purpose of reporting to Paris.
Well, as a side note, Linda, if you can help drum up business on the bond side, I got $1.50 going nowhere.
There
Okay.
you go.
Okay.
I will buy you lunch at the diner of your choice. I am a big spender.
I
I
won't
can
even
see.
buy you a coffee there, but that's okay.
I spent
Alright.
$5 on this alone.
All right.
I just wanna mention that I did, raise my concerns, and I sat in that seat for 32 years, and it just, when you're projecting, potential revenues, just wanna make sure that we're clear, that they may not happen.
Absolutely.
And that's, I understand these are just projecting, but
It's the difficult nature of our business.
I
It's
get
a
it.
long game, first of all, and there are years where you're very lean years, and then you have better years, you know?
I get it, I'm just raising my concern.
For sure.
Since I don't know if there's something in the
Took me a
pipeline.
while to get comfortable with it.
Well, you're a better man than I am, cause it'll take me longer, I get nervous.
I understand. I
Well,
understand.
look, it is difficult, right? And, the only number lower than 1 is 0.
Mhm.
So, I don't, it's not as if we're trying to, we're putting down 3, 4, 5.
I understand, I'm okay with negative numbers on the bottom, so, I mean, that, if you took the 125 off, you would experience a loss
Yes.
Yeah.
on the bottom. I'm not afraid of a loss, because the only way you can correct it if you have a I mean, these are roadmaps, these are not signed in stone, I get it. I get nervous, I don't wanna hold our CEO to something that might not be attainable. But that's my only comment.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
And, you know, we are, that's why I was, you know, tongue in cheek said if you could help figure out a way to get
I'm
by.
gonna try.
Because to be honest, it's exceptionally difficult to control that factor, you
Understood.
know? And so, but with your relationships with, I mean, God bless.
It'll cost you more than a buck and a half.
I will gladly do it. I will, dinner for everybody at the restaurant of your choice.
Oh, that could be very dangerous.
Now we might get
game.
ourselves in trouble.
I'm game.
No, it's his personal money.
No, this is personal money. This is, yeah. So, because it is frustrating, right? I mean, you know, I've made budgets for 30 years and, you know, when you control, you know, when you can control it, then, you know, yeah.
I understand. There's some board members that don't like to see a
Yeah.
negative in the bottom,
Yeah.
and so plugging
I
in
was
a
trying
number on the
I'm trying to
top.
balance
I
between pacifying
understand, I'm not
those that
finding
do
fault
get
with
it.
you, I'm trying to be on your side.
No problem,
And
absolutely.
Just saying, we wanna make sure that we're realistic, that's all. And if something were to happen that would take us off budget, I think we as the board need to remember what we've just talked about.
Right.
That's all.
Any other comments? Any
I'm
comments
good.
on this? You good?
Yep.
Anything else we need to discuss?
No, sir.
So I think you're good to go with FC.
Yeah, if we could just,
Have a motion?
vote to
To
recommend
recommend?
it, yeah, that would be great.
I'll make
Absolutely.
that motion.
Thank you,
No,
sir.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Mm-mm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Very good.
There you go.
Just let them adjourn.
Move, we adjourn.
Then, may I get if there are no, if
We'll
there's,
take one more second to on that. We get a second on Jeff's?
well,
Oh, I'm
is
sorry.
there anything
Motion
else we
adjourned.
need to talk about?
No,
No?
No.
Then,
Okay, motion to
Motion.
adjourn.
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Terrific.
Opposed? None? Adjournment.
Great. We're gonna keep.
Just keep it flowing? All right, fantastic. All
Wait,
right.
do you need a minute though?
We're gonna
Good, okay, great.
keep it together.
Sorry.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Orange County IDA Finance Committee meeting. The time is 4:14 PM on October 16th. I'll call the meeting to order. Bill, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Mark Green,
Present.
Jeffrey Christ,
Here.
Linda Muller.
Here.
3 of 4 members here. Dean Danbury, excused absence. For staff, myself, Bill Fioravanti, and Kelly Riley. Mr. Billy Iverson doing our AV, and our guest again, Mr. Brian Sandage.
All right.
Shannon.
And Shannon Manisi, I'm sorry, joining us. I don't think I mentioned her before either. Shannon, part of our team. Sorry,
Thank you,
Shannon.
Kelly.
Jeez, thanks, Kelly. Take me anytime, please.
Proof of notice. Notice of this meeting was properly provided. So let's get into the minutes. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review the minutes from last time on September 18th. If so, can I get a motion to approve, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Fantastic.
Second.
Second, any discussions about the minutes? No discussion, then all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye. 3 yea,
Motion carries.
motion carries. All right, then if we can get into new business, Shannon, I'll turn it back over to you to discuss the September financials, please.
Sure. So, for the IDA in September, there was $500 received as admin fees and then $1,000 for the legal pass-through fees from FW Web. You have your monthly allocation of expenses that ties to what's on the funding corp side there for the $7,400. And they had $65,000 of interest earned on maturing CDs. Some of the normal admin expenses, things I'd like to point out. In insurance, your insurance policy renewed, so you'll see that there's 2 months based on the timing of when the policy was received, so there's 2 months in that. Your office supplies is up slightly more than what is normally budgeted, and that's because there's 2 months of the copier in there as well. If we go down to the IT support and audio visual, That was the final payment to 88 Studio. It was the third of payment in that installment, and that was around 15,000. So that's why that's that high. Normal marketing capacity.
That's the website's paid off now.
Yep. And then membership events, there was the New York State Innovation Summit, but inadvertently it was paid twice, I believe.
Yep.
And you're looking for the refund of $475. So that currently is booked in there. When the refund comes, it will offset that, and you'll see a credit at that point for that.
They just authorized that yesterday, Shannon.
Okay. If you go down to legal counsel, for the 9314 there, 6,000 is related to Aidenbrook, and then there's 2 months of general counsel in there for about $3,200.
Sorry, this is our
You'll
fast
see
New York
$1,000
application, and working on the MOU for that. Sorry, Shannon.
No, that's okay. You'll see $1,000 from the local labor auditing fees. That was actually miscoded. It's actually legal pass-through. It's been fixed on the books and records side, but for the notes here, it's in the wrong line item.
it's the one
It was
from
supposed to be
above?
one above.
Yes.
Yes.
And then payroll and building expenses are status quo. So at the end of September, there was a $6,200 loss.
Excuse me.
Any questions on any of that before I move into cash?
Give us 1 second. I think you are still.
I'm good.
What has your attention, Lindy? You
I'm good, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay. So in the bank and CDs, there was just shy of $9.3 million in the CDs there, and there was $153,000 in the operating account and $68,000 in the trust and escrow. So overall, about $9.5 million in CDs and bank.
Real quick,
Mhm.
Bill, Kelly, how are we feeling? That 153, 912, that can get us 3 months, right?
I think so, yeah.
Right,
No problem, yeah.
nothing on the horizon that's
No.
crazy, okay?
I think it's down to Kelly, right?
Yeah. These are all the invoices that were paid. All of them are pretty much recurring, except I wanted to bring to your attention the credit card payment processing. That's higher than normal because we had to pay 2 insurances with that. Our Cincinnati insurance, which is the liability, which was about $6,300, and Travelers, which is the crime policy, which is about $1,600.
Insurance, excuse me, Kelly, is something that we're still challenged with the timing of. Because we're late if we wait to the normal process to approve it. So we have to charge on the credit card usually.
We usually
been an
get it and
issue.
it's due like the next day.
Yeah, that's the problem, exactly.
Yeah, I've noticed that in my personal accounts as well.
Yeah.
It really is, it's like they're almost challenging you to,
And we don't wanna risk
Default.
not it
Yeah,
being,
exactly.
being defaulted.
So that's why we use the credit card. We don't prefer to, but
real quick, are those two both annual or?
Yes.
Those are annual, all right, so this is a one-time. All right.
So if you took those out, it's, it's around along
Yeah.
the same lines, the amount of money. And then the only other one that's not, so much a recurring is the DLS ITA consultants, sorry about that.
Yeah.
And that was, for Bill's setup of his new computer, that he needed to get all the programs put in there and everything. And just Felonzer, that's the local labor monitoring for Royal Wine, which is a pass-through. And pretty much everything is the same.
So that Fellinger one doesn't show up on our income statement?
No,
Thanks.
No, it goes against the liabilities for the escrow account. So when the IDA charges, for the escrow, they set up a cash account, and then there's a liability on the balance sheet, so it never affects the IDA's expenses or bottom line.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right. Any further questions about the expenses?
I'm good.
You good? These are the actual credit card, Elon,
Yes.
correct?
The credit card bills, yes.
And I see your insurances. And the double billing. All right. Any questions on those?
We need a motion?
If you're good.
If you're good?
We're good.
We're good. All right, can we get a motion to approve to?
Recommend to the full board.
Recommend?
Yeah.
I make that motion?
Thank
I'll
you, sir.
second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, three ayes, motion carries. Can we let, Shannon, do you mind staying with us just in case we have any questions for you as we go through the
Well,
budget?
QuickBooks open, so if there's questions about anything, I
Thank
can
you.
give a deeper dive.
Terrific. We'll move on to the proposed budgets.
Yes.
Everyone have a color version in front of them? You do, right? Okay, good. I'm gonna look at the second column, the gray column. Linda, thank you for suggesting the projected actual. That really changed the, planning for this, really.
Mhm.
It really
Yes,
helped an awful lot,
definitely.
so. It's a lot of work to do that. I'm sure Shannon can show me a faster way to do it, but it was really well worth it, so thank you. So I'm gonna go down a little of the actual as I go down the yellow column as well. The difference, I explained in my email, the difference between yellow and pink is basically that with yellow is the way I built this budget last year, and you can compare it to the prior budgets more easily. But again, Shannon, like we said on the OCFC side, we're doing it where we're not showing the expenses for every single project. They're all gonna be, kind of roll up to that expense item there. So, okay, so starting right from the top, you see what our closing fees, what they are right now. On actual, going down all the way to other income, I just wanna point that one out. That's a CAMS reconciliation. We can reconcile our common area maintenance charges for our building here. Also in that are fees for project changes and terminations, so that's where some of the other income is for some transactional type of fees that we've had in there. Insurance recoveries, you recall that's for a settlement we have there, pass-through legal. Now on the budget side, under revenues, I will tell you that this 1.21 million in projected closing fees, those are from real projects that are in our pipeline. So $1 million, we're projecting $1 million fee for a sizable, obviously a sizable project, another $100,000 for a second one, and $100,000 from a third project. So those are really in the pipeline. If they come to fruition, then we'll be in good shape there. Application fees, so we've got 4 applications coming at that time. Admin fees, this is something we talked about, I got 3,000 there. We're gonna move all transactional fees to that other income line that I mentioned. But this is really administrative fees. Did we lose Shannon? I'm back.
No, my camera just showed up.
Okay, no problem, okay. All right, so interest earnings, going down a little bit still under revenues. Interest earning, this assumes that we do spend actually I've got $3 million out of the kitty there that we would be using for a possible shovel-ready type project. So for interest's sake, I've only left a remainder in there, $4.5 million at 3%. Trying to be conservative on that number. All right, but that's a number that could be a lot more, depending upon what happens with shovel-ready.
Which line are you on?
I'm on interest earnings.
Oh, okay.
135,000?
Yeah,
Yes.
got it. Mhm.
So I'm hoping that we have more in the coffers during '24 and that we're able to earn more. But that was a conservative estimate, $4.5 million at 3%.
So Jeff, did you understand, so he encountered for taking money out for shovel ready
Mhm.
and also at 3%, right? Okay,
Mhm.
good.
Thank you.
Sure, last line under revenue, shovel ready. Now this is a reimbursement, so you remember we have 2 Fast New York grants out there. One hasn't been approved, but we feel really good about it, the Fast New York for the Roaston Newburgh site. But the other one for Aidenbrook in Montgomery. Those are all reimbursements, so we expect the property owner actually we have to make the initial expenditure, and then we expect the property owner to reimburse us. So this is reimbursement for everything that goes out, will come back in via reimbursement. The number is higher below, but when it comes to, I'll get to that, but when it comes to Fast New York contributions, it comes in, we spend 700,000 and 700 comes back in. But again, there's more on shovel ready as we get a little further down. Salaries. This is adding an admin assistant for a full year and an intern to help us with some projects that we have through the year for 8 weeks. That's what I have in there, at least that's what I'm proposing. Employee benefits, I have them up 10% over the year. I'm not really sure why our actual benefits came in lower than what they were projected. I think I just need a little bit more, I need a little bit more of history to be able to see exactly what those figures would be, but it is right. I mean, we've looked at it.
Well, that may.
I believe you anticipated adding another person when you prepared
I
next
did.
year's budget.
Yeah.
I did, and
So
is that ratio
included in
good
that
enough?
number, so
Yeah,
that's
right.
probably why that number is, the actual is less.
Then this is not for public, but is everybody maxing out their contribution? Because
Right.
that we match,
No.
so
Exactly.
that might be another.
True. Okay, so I have that for, you see, both salaries and employee benefits. Next line is payroll taxes. And 401k retirement, assuming that we're gonna be, same thing, like you said, everyone is maxing out what their contributions can be. Deferred compensation, we put two numbers in there, by the way. The 20,000 for actual is not a real number yet. It's really, we put that in there for discussion. Is that something we could do at the end of the year? I don't know if today is the date for that, Mark, or if that's something that we look at year end. But that is, and I put a similar number in for 25. Fiscal audit assumes a 10% increase for 21,000. For insurance, I've got a 5% increase, totaling that. And let's see, CFO bookkeeping services, I am adding a little bit. Again, looking for some help with budgeting in 2026 from Shannon, which I think makes a lot of sense with her being our external CFO. It's not just bookkeeping, that's for sure. It has to do with our strategy and our financial plan. Professional fees for repair support, something we're going to continue to need. And the last item is office supplies and postage. I have, the reason that that's up is I've got $17.50 in there for new PCs for Marty and for Kelly. They're overdue. I got mine this year, but they're overdue for their machines, which are getting slow and bogged down. We are over budget for this year though, so we're trying to scale back office supplies for the remainder of the year the best that we can. We are a little over budget on that. A lot of postage, a lot of copying. And then down to project expenditures. Legal counsel, I've got that going up just a little bit, assuming that there's more work for any litigation, monitor, or whatever it might be. Local labor monitoring, this is the only thing that we pay for. It's under our old local labor policy where we pay for the monitor as opposed to now the applicant pays for the monitor. This is all, that budget, and I assume that that's gonna be high, that's all Legoland New York, because that's the only remaining project for which we still pay. And they still have a lot of work going on, so that's why I'm assuming that I'm trying to go high on that. Cost benefit analysis, still we didn't use much of it this year, but we did pay for one tool, an additional tool to help us gauge the CBA on housing projects. But I am forecasting more this year because when we have some significant projects come in, I'd like to hire a third-party cost benefit analysis, just that, to help us with the integrity of that. Shovel ready program, okay, this, I know we debated it, and I think it deserves further debate here tonight. But I had a higher number, went lower, and I put back a higher number. This assumes that something that hasn't even been raised to the board yet, but we have a proposal that came from the county executive in the city of Middletown for Indigo Creek and development of a reservoir there, a $1 million request for a study. And we've got another $450,000 for actually the next ones, $450,000, $250, 120, I'm sorry, and $250 are for the Fast New York contributions. That's where, again, you see it at the top, money comes back in from the property owners, but these are our payments that we would make. So that's $700,000 in payments for Fast New York work, $1 million for Indigo, and then $125,000 I have for another site that happens to be in Port Jervis that we have some interest in, and there's some money that we've talked about potentially spending on that. In addition to all that shovel-ready spending, I have $25,000 in there for a shovel-ready consultant. That's to help us with all this work. And again, I'm trying to keep this.
Sorry to follow you, how much did you say was the Indigo project?
Indigo is $1 million, and hopefully we come away a lot shorter than that. $700,000 in there for the Fast New York, and then $125,000 for another site in western Orange County.
And that is just this 700,000 in revenue above that's
Correct.
canceling that out.
Exactly. So that's shovel ready, as proposed. Again, hopefully we can discuss this after our review here. Going down to the building expenses, RAMs, rent and CAMs. That does assume a modest increased use of space that we're not paying for now, such as this room. They're only going to charge us for that when they find someone to fill this next space, so I'm expecting a somewhat modest increase in '26, though that, if it happened earlier, it could be a little bit more there. We don't have the exact amount of what it will be, but I'm just trying to give that a little boost. Utilities, the reason that's going down is that we don't have to pay for any utilities at the Warwick Accelerator site this year, so that's out. Repair and renovations, it's a unique number in there for this year, only because of the new branding. We need new signage inside and out, so that's a little bit of budget for that. Maintenance, that's gone down because it excludes, the only thing that's excluding going forward is Warwick pest control, basically, is what we were paying for that. So that'll be going away, so that's a little bit lower. Internet and telephones, we have canceled a couple of services, an IT monitoring service we had, and we'll have no more Warwick internet fees. But I will tell you, if you look at the projected actual and the approved budget, we're way over on that. So I've actually already called our IT consultant and asked him to work with us on a full audit of our internet services. Frankly, we inherited everything. We have GoDaddy, Google Suite, other Google expenses, Dropbox, Adobe. We're paying for a lot of things. We're using, QuickBooks as well. It's all in there. But there's just so many expenses in there that I think we need a full audit to find out what our services are. So we're gonna do that in the next couple of months, and I expect that number will be back in something a lot more reasonable. Down to agency support expenses. You see it drops dramatically. That's because the website is coming off, and we did pay for some of that in '23 and in '24. But it does include all the other stuff, our live stream service with acquisitions marketing, as well as Dropbox, GoDaddy, Google, G Suite, Zoom, Adobe. So we have a lot of services, but again, we'll do a full audit to make sure that that's right. That's that. Next is marketing and PR. Just see. That's basically coming along the same direction that we have been coming. What we've been doing essentially, and then I'm gonna look to start to bring that back down after the next couple of years. Because I'm hoping that we get over our public trust issues and some other things, and we can start to scale back some of our public service announcements, some of the other ones. Membership and events. So membership and events, let me just look up conferences above. I don't know that I mentioned it. Yeah, travel, lodging, and meals up above under the first set of expenses, admin expenses. It's the second to last line. For 2025, I'm proposing in the yellow column, $5,994. Right now, our conference expenses are split between that line item and then the one I was just touching on at the end here, training and membership and events. I think membership and events is the registration fees and everything we pay for that, whereas the top line item is the travel. Now, this has gone up, but there are a couple of things. First of all, the reason, let me go back to projected. I'm sorry, I'm all over here now. The second column, projected, you see that that's about $6,000 under what was budgeted. That's because including what was budgeted, included in what was budgeted was a sponsorship. We did $5,000 for a cannabis conference last year, and I had that in there, but we have not expended that this year. I do have it in the budget though, again, for the following year. Plus, you'll remember that last month when we went over these drafts, we had a little confusion over why I was projecting so high on conferences. Not only am I looking to go to an extra conference that does include airfare, so it would have something up in additional expense up in travel and mileage, but I forgot that Jeff is joining me at most of these conferences now. So also, we have additional expense from Jeff. We're going to, I think, 3 conferences together between the 2 next New York State EDC and then the Innovation Summit that we'll be at the week after next. So that's why that's in there. And then training and education, the last line. We just had a training from Julie Marshall, who does our Paris reporting. It was kind of our IDA 101. We're going to do another one of those next year. That was really valuable, especially for Kelly and Marty. So we're going to continue that next year. So Largely due to the shovel-ready expenditures, you'll see that we have total expenses of 2.8 million, the total revenues of just over 2.22 million, so a net loss for this year of 773,000. And then we still are running a loss at just over, let's see, between 127,000 up to 165 for the next 3 years. And again, a lot of that, we're still including shovel-ready expenditures in there. But that is our proposal for 2025, 6, 7, and 8. Any questions on that?
On the Indigo Reservoir study, is that fairly classified under shovel-ready? Because I didn't realize that was in that number when I was
Yes.
complaining about that number.
I put it in there because I think that it's all towards, this is all work that has to be further in our
Yeah.
mission, and it really all goes towards that end, where we're
Mhm.
trying to actually put other sites on board. So if we did something else where we say we're requested to extend water and sewer in Goshen, that's one of the places that's been talked about, to me, that's a shovel-ready expenditure right there. So something like this, which is, although it is a study, that's really where I think it's open to debate. It is all towards that, furthering that
Sure.
end. That was my rationale, at least.
I can see where the concept is similar. When I think shovel-ready, I'm thinking the next step is to put an application in the planning board. But
Right.
Yeah, it is, I think if I'm hearing you correctly, it is, I don't know what the right word is, a little concerning, right, to put that amount of money in a study
Mhm.
that you're not getting anything tangible from. I don't think anyone is going to discuss $1 million if it means we're laying lines, we're building, sewers, like that is something tangible that we can look at and say, this is benefiting this property, and therefore, but a study is a little disconcerting because we spend $1 million to do the study, and what if no one ever uses this study, no one ever does anything with this study, the study says not to go there, now we've, that's a tough pill to swallow.
We share the same concern, for sure. So I think the alternative is in the same project expenditure category, but another line item. Would you agree with that, Shannon? If we were to break that out, $1 million, which is to go towards a study for water utilization?
Well, no, I mean, it's still the same thing, I'm just saying.
I think what the concern is just the base of that expenditure. I don't know necessarily the categorization.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
You said
categorization is, it is what it is,
I
no,
see.
you understand, it's just,
Yeah.
it's to me, it's a much more difficult thing to, like I said, if you were saying, we need $1 million because we gotta run lines, we gotta run this, we gotta
Yes.
run water, I'm in. But a study is just very nebulous, and it scares me.
So it's gonna come before you soon, where we'll put it to the board for that. But because you haven't heard it as a board, haven't got to that, I feel like I have to have it in the budget.
Absolutely you do.
Okay.
You have to be prudent, you
Okay.
have to have it in there.
And this is an ask from Middletown,
Middletown and the county, actually, it was a letter from both of them that we received.
and they're putting any money into the study?
Right now, they're not looking to, they were hoping to find a way to reimburse us once they sell the water, but we don't think that that's legal. So I don't think that's what
We're
we can do.
exploring possibilities to have it be less on us
Right,
than the full million. And there's several different avenues. Something could develop, but it's not clear enough on any of them to say right now, I don't think. Is this would
must be the toughest request that has come before us.
Protect the total amount in the budget.
Mm.
Is this something that's been done before in the past, that we've supported a study to that amount?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, not that I know. Regardless, though, I think this is a discussion for the full board.
Right.
Not for here
Sure.
right now. So I really think the only question is whether or not it's prudent to keep the 1 million in there or not. And I think it is prudent to keep it in there because there's a potential. And if it doesn't happen, then that's fine.
I would leave it with an asterisk. I would put an
Fine.
asterisk.
an asterisk, if you would like an asterisk, we put an asterisk.
I would like an asterisk, please.
Okay. You know, me looking at this real quickly, you know, your budget comes out at, you know, negative $750,000. However, if you add back the 1.15 million that's going towards shovel ready, you add back the 225,000, you know, that's out of our control with oversight. You know, that's an you know, those are expenditures of almost $1.4 million. So reading this net, we are actually, would be ahead by $700,000. You would have a profit down here of $7,000. So, I mean, this looks
I had
pretty tight to me.
some discussion with some of the members as to whether or not it gets booked on the income statement, if we have to show it. I think we do. Would you agree, Shannon, that we're projecting spending out of this, even if it's out of our fund balance? It should come on it should be planned on the income statement?
Yeah, because technically this isn't something that you're receiving money for and then passing it out as if you have no involvement in it. That's kind of what the escrows are, because really that's the project's expense. This would be something that would have to go onto your expenses, because it's really the IDA that's incurring these expenses.
We're spending money, like this
Yes.
money's going, so
Exactly.
we have to
Reflect it on.
reflect it.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions about this?
The only thing I would say, and I did share this with both Mark and Bill, that maybe a little contrary to your attitude towards losses, I don't like them.
Well, nobody does, but I'm a realist.
And when it's 4 years in a row we're projecting a loss, it makes me think management and the board should figure out how to not have those. But I didn't understand at the time the $1 million was part of this loss for 2025.
Right.
And that changes my attitude towards it a bit. And I understand the thought process, and I think it's important the board understand what Mark just described, and that $1 million and the monitoring fee. If those were put back in, would be on the plus side, almost the same amount.
However, the reality is it's there.
Yeah, so
It's there.
I'm good with it.
All right, any other questions? Shannon, any other comments from you? All right, then can I get a motion to present this to the full board?
Make a motion as long as you get the asterisk in there.
All right, we'll get the asterisk.
You already put it in, right?
I wrote it on.
Just need an asterisk with an explanation, that's all.
Absolutely.
I'll second the motion as stated by Linda.
All right, with no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, 3-0, motion carries. Thank you. I don't really want to talk about these other ones here. By the way, the last item is coming off the agenda, capacity. We don't need to discuss that at all, so
Okay.
disregard that one.
Which one is
The
that?
very last
Okay.
item on there. It's already crossed out there for you. Rubbish.
I need to make a call soon, so.
Okay, all right, so two quick things. One, we have bills for our, I always talk about Julie Marshall and all the great support she gives us on our Paris reporting. I think we'd be in really rough shape without it. She's actually been very helpful with the engine as well, trying to answer a lot of our questions. But, so we've been paying bills, it's around, as I'm budgeting, about $5,000 or $6,000 a year for that. But they didn't bill us for a few years. And it was something that we didn't know if they weren't charging us or what was happening. And, you know, we ended up not asking for the bills, but we got them kind of after the fact. We got them in a whole slew of them. And then we said, whoa, what are these? And they said, oh, this is actually for, you know, she didn't bill us stuff. Do you have copies yourself?
No.
You don't, okay.
No.
So I've got, I didn't realize you wouldn't, because I'll summarize it for you there. So we have, for 2024, we paid that. We've got, okay, here they are. You were, total paid to date, $6,200. We haven't paid for 21, 22, and 23.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
Yes.
The years 21, 22, and 23.
This is right.
And they haven't billed us?
They haven't billed.
Now
us.
they're trying to recoup
This is
them.
rather disconcerting.
It is.
I mean, they're in the business of money.
Yes. Well, they're lawyers. These are lawyers, actually.
Only pretty good one, I'm not the same. But I have a problem with being billed for 21,
Can I
22,
interrupt
and
for a second?
23.
Please.
After
They're saying they bill you for what years?
For 21, 22, and 23.
I don't know if that's necessarily accurate, because there are multiple bills and payments to them.
All right, we gotta figure this
So
out.
can you do me a favor, can you send me
We're
all
short
of
on
that
time, we'll do this
information?
next.
And I
Definitely.
will compare to our records, since at least we took over, and see what's not lining up
That would be
versus
great.
what is.
That would be great. All right, let's table this to something we'll come back with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. The second one is a little different, but it's similar in that,
Is that for both entities, or is that just IDA?
just the IDA, right?
Except for in 2021, there's an outstanding OCFC bill.
Then all of a sudden, we got a bill for, first of all, $10,000 for, really help from them for when the monitor, issue first came up. And they did help us with that, but they didn't bill us for it until after this happened, so it was basically more than a year later. So I did ask for an itemization, they did send it, when they itemized it, it came back $2,000 less. And a couple of things on here. We did discuss this with our general counsel, and really her feedback was that if there's something in our engagement letter that says that they have to bill us monthly, but we didn't see that in our review. She's still looking at it, but we didn't see that. So it's really just a matter of, and it looks legitimate, I mean, I'm matching this up with, you know, my dates of when I spoke to them, this, that, and the other. We did have some things we were not happy with. For example, we met with the Inspector General long before Angel was appointed. They asked for feedback and suggestions of how, you know, what kind of group did they think should be appointed. They're actually open to our suggestions when it came to that. And I had to keep bugging these folks to actually do that and follow up on it. And they did very late in the game, they did that. So I have some copies of correspondence when it came to that, but for the most part, besides some of that stuff, it's legitimate. But it's very much after the fact. So it does seem like something that we have to pay, but I just want to have some discussion here.
It's outlined in your engagement letter.
Yes, it looks like it's not. I did a review and Sue's looking at it now, but it looks like there's no stipulation in there that we have to be billed monthly.
Okay, well, then here's my recommendation. I would go back, continue to do your analysis, and we can talk about it again next month.
Okay, let's do that. Very good.
And then next month you can do some more analysis and we'll talk about it in December.
Yep.
If they want to wait a year or two to tell us what we owe them, they can wait a year or two for us to pay them.
All right, we'll discuss. We'll table that. I've got nothing else for this evening.
Any other discussions?
I'm good.
Can I get a motion?
So moved. To adjourn.
No, you go, I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, for a minute.
Okay. You kids need to get out more. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.